All right, so today is September 9th, 2023, and we're going to start by looking at the index today. So this week is basically a give back week, because the last 2 weeks was positive, and this week we give back quite a bit actually. Let's see, this low is 13,626. And this low is 13,642. So it did close still slightly above previous week's low, but it gave back a lot, at least on the Nasdaq index. And then if we go to S&P, same thing. It closed slightly above previous week's low, and you can see like both this major index are near their 52-week high, 52-week average. So it's just sitting right there. If I zoom in on the daily chart, you can see it's just sitting near that line here, although it's below it right now. If we go back to Nasdaq, same thing, it's slightly below it. This is, definitely looks a little bit scary because it's now on a downtrend. Usually when you go below index, average, like a 10, 21 day, you don't want it to sit there too long, otherwise it'll just continue, right? So hopefully we see a rebound on Monday, or, again, it's hard to say. But right now, the uptrend is still intact, although, like I said, it's getting to a critical level. It's going to make a decision soon, and probably with the CPI data coming out Wednesday, it might be a big influence on where it's going to head. So that will probably be a big decision maker, whether it will continue this rally or whether it'll come back down and retest this low. The other thing that's happening, obviously, in September, and I have a chart. See if I can pull it up here. Give me a second here. Oops. Right here, okay. So let me blow it up a little bit. So this is the top part right here shows the monthly returns. That is negative. So over the history since 1928, and if I zoom back out, it's kind of hard to see, but right here, September is the month that has the most negative months in history. And this year, this bottom part is this year 2023. You see February we have a down month, so that is pretty high here. August also a down month, again, it's kind of above average here. And then September is by historically the worst month because it has the most negative months. So we don't know how that's going to play out, but so far September it's definitely weak, right? So go back to the chart. If we go to the monthly chart, and you can see right now we're down 1%, right? So still not a lot, like, hopefully that's it, but you never know. And you can see the other thing that's forming, very obvious on the monthly chart is a cup and handle pattern. If we go to the weekly chart, we also see a more recent cup with handle pattern. So this is very it's a good thing, right? Because it kind of shows that this formation is happening. And yeah, that's probably the same thing on Nasdaq. So these two indexes are still acting normal, like it's not pulling back too strong. But it's still early to, the volume also, like this pullback week, it's because 4-day week, right? So maybe that's why the volume is so much lower. So it's hard to say whether it actually so more or not that much more. If we look at the Dow Jones on the weekly chart, this one again, same thing. You can see it just sits near the 50-day. We go to daily chart. It's slightly more below the 50-day. But it's hogging 10-day right now. So it's trying to hold on. Again, there's the low here. You know, everybody don't want to retest the low, obviously, but you know, you never know. So, and then we go into Russell. The Russell is probably the weakest one. You can see it doesn't have much power at all. It didn't even try to rebound this week. It's kind of weird. So this is the low here, and this is a very sharp vertical drop. So you know, Friday we didn't see a rebound, so that's not good, right? Like you would think that as it come close to the black line 200-day, it would rebound, but it didn't. So that's not a good sign. Yeah, obviously this index is the weakest of all, and that's where the small caps are. And we also talk about this big, you know, 2000 level. If we pass 2000 level, that's where, you know, probably a true bull market has begun. But we are now back to the 200-day line, which is like right here. So now, you know, who knows, right? The market could be stuck in a range for a little bit until you know, until we see further signs of where the economy is heading. And so that could be a reason why the market is just very undecisive now. You know, we have a 1 week strong, and then we have a 1 week, you know, down, almost identical strength, right, on both sides. So we see as many bulls and as many bears out there in terms of analysts' point of view, and there are arguments for both sides. So which way is it gonna go? Or are we gonna be, you know, the Russell has already shown how it just stuck in this range for a long time now. And you know, are we gonna come back down and then bounce again? Who knows, right? Or is it gonna, you know, bounce from here and then stuck in this, you know, again this high again, right, and come back down? So many possibilities. You know, but Nasdaq and S&P are probably the one that's worthwhile paying close attention to because they're the stronger ones, and also that if they do, you know, decisively go lower, that's probably gonna not bode well for most stocks, right? And you know, like, because if it does go, it probably may even not only hit the new low or the recent low, but it may go as far as the 200, right? So that's something to be aware of. Again, obviously something has to happen in the marketplace for it to change its tune in terms of where the market is, like where the economy is going and so forth. But that's kind of a rough idea. This week, the big news was on Thursday. That was that day. The jobless claims dropped to 216,000, which is much stronger than the market expected. So that means, you know, it indicate continued firmness in the labor market, which may encourage high interest rates for longer, right? And so that's the problem right now for the marketplace, because they're just saying, hey, the economy is just too strong, at least from the jobs point of view. And if we look at the Treasury yields, it's still near the 52-week high. So let me just jump to that chart right now, just to see where it's at. And you can see this is a weekly chart. You can see it's hovering near the highs, right? So that's not good news. Like 42.5 right now, 4.25. It's just strong, very strong, right? It's just holding there. It hasn't, like, if it broke through, it probably even worse for the stock market. But right now, it's near the highs, and you know, it's not a good thing. And then on Thursday, like, we have volume rose, and that was a down day, and that gives another distribution day to the index. So if we go back to Nasdaq, just look at it on the daily chart. And you can see this big, like, Wednesday was dropping, and then Thursday gapped down, but it did reverse. But you know, it's still a down day, and that day was you know, slightly higher volume, and that gives it a distribution day. So that day, IBD also changed their uptrend to under pressure. So now we are in a critical level. whether it can, sustain, at this level or not. We'll see. And like I said, probably the CPI data will be a big determinant on where it's going next. So that's that. So yeah, as I mentioned, the IBD is putting its market under pressure. The exposure they recommend should be around 20 to 40%. So again, if I go to my let's see here, my market trend and look at this. So a week ago we were at confirmed uptrend and we had a really good week. And this week is a short week, but we saw distribution on Monday and Tuesday and also on Thursday. And so now it has turned to uptrend under pressure. You can also see accumulation on the stocks and industry group side. Last week was very strong. This week it was completely opposite. And look at the numbers, right? It's even worse than the weeks before because there's way more distribution on the stock level than the week gain on last week. Same thing on the industry group side. You can see there's way more groups being sold off than the week before. And then at the sector level, there's really, you can see retail selling off hard, industrial as well. Those two drop a lot. Financials as well, and some health also drop. Techs are, surprisingly, you can see here it's not as strong, and commodities in some cases went up because energy prices have gone up. So those two seem to be a little bit less hurt this week. So that's the if you think from that point of view, we're looking for strength continue with technology and commodities. So that's something we want to pay attention to. And then in terms of next week, we are going to see inflation data and retail figures. Those are two important indicators of where the economy is going. So CPI is due Wednesday. The number that probably we should pay attention to is how big of a jump, monthly jump. Is expect 0.5% jump, which is not a good thing because it's jumping still month over month, and it's because of the high energy prices, right? And so that's what's expected. And then the core CPI is tamed to 0.2%. So that's more regular jump. So hopefully that could stay at that level, not higher. So we'll see how that turned out on Wednesday, because I think this will be a big story for this coming week. Retail sales again will be released Thursday. It's very tame again. It's just expecting to rise 0.1%, but hopefully it's not worse than this. Otherwise, retail stocks will probably get hurt more. So that's that for the index. So IBD has their own 50 stock ETF kind of tracking, and those are basically the 50 growth stocks they track, and from week to week, and you can see like it has climbed since the bottom, and in this last week, surprisingly, like it's not as weak as probably most people would think, and it's holding above the black line, which is 200-day line. It's holding, like the three lines are converging, like the 10, which is the green line, and the 21-day moving average is the pink line, and so they're all converging, and right now it's holding just like at that line, at that level. So this is a good sign, because if they were to pull back, one of the things we want to determine is this a normal pullback. At least from this perspective, the IBD 50 it looks like a normal pullback, because you have to understand this is a big gain in the last 2 weeks before that, and then this week we give back some, right? And this looks very healthy, right, as in terms of pullback, and hopefully it will bounce from here and continue on this rally. So that is one thing that I feel is on the positive side. So we're gonna look at some mega cap, the Magnificent Seven. So Microsoft, we'll start with some of the ones that seem to be doing well. Look at Microsoft. It sneak up a new recent high on Friday, and also it's above the 50-day line now again. So this is 50-day line is very significant in the bull market because that's usually where institutions will support a stock. So, you know, when you see a stock under 50-day line, usually that's not a good sign. And when you see it above 50-day line, it's usually a good sign because that's where institutions will come in and support the stock. And so now that this stock, you know, has gone underneath it and now has come back up, usually means that, you know, there's support for this stock. So now if you look at the weekly chart, it's building a nice, you know, it's coming like this is a consolidation in the last how many weeks now, and now we're seeing like 3 weeks of bouncing back, right? And even last week, like I said, is a pullback week for the market in general. It was able to close green, so this is showing lots of signs of strength here. As you can see, the RS rating is starting to come back up, so which means it's performing better than the overall market. Another stock that is showing strength probably is Google. You can see this one is definitely probably the strongest out of the Magnificent Seven. The RS rating, you can see, has been climbing for many weeks now, and it broke out this base a while ago. Like, you know, as you saw, Microsoft was building a base now, but this one came out like you know, quite earlier, and now it's slowly climbing the right side now. It's trending upwards. So that one looks very strong. Like I said, it's probably the strongest of all the big Magnificent Seven, and the slope line is pretty healthy. Let me see. We have Meta. Meta is also doing really well. Similar to Microsoft chart, is this one, like it came out, but then it kind of went back to the 50-day, and then Friday same thing again. Like, you know, it tried to come out twice now. It's just losing some steam, so I don't know what that means. So something to pay attention to next week. But you know, but this chart is very similar to Microsoft. It's you know, it came very far away from the bottom, and this is stage 2 base now, so that's even more significant. And again, it was able to close green for the week, so therefore now it has 3 positive weeks. So those are all good signs because, again, it's all relative, right? And you can see the relative strength is going upwards, so which means it's doing better than the general market. Okay, so look at one bad stock right now. Apple under lots of scrutiny this week from major news around China banning the iPhone in government area and stuff. So they took a big drop, 5.95%. It obviously came back down below 50-day. That's a little bit scary, and then, you know, even though it has this base, so like, you know, hopefully this is it. Like, you know, usually they sell on the news for a few days and they will bounce back. So that's what I'll be looking for, whether it can bounce back right away or not. If it doesn't, then I would probably look out for this, because, you know, usually after a drop like that, you think people like Warren Buffett, who owns shares of Apple, is going to come in and pick up some shares. So we'll see if that's going to happen or not. You can see volume is significant higher this week, and so definitely there's lots of selling. So whether this is a opportunity to buy on this pullback or whether this is an opportunity to sell, we'll know in coming weeks. If this continue to go down, probably even hit the 200-day. So hard to say, but right now it looks very weak, and the slope of the downtrend is very strong. So something to pay attention to. Yeah. But Tesla, it's actually, to me, this chart is actually very strong, but that's only because it's holding this 10-day right here. But it is finding resistance at the 50-day. So, you know, in some sense, this is probably no action right now. If it passes this 50-day, that would signify the trend continues to go up. But it is building a nice base right now, so that's something to look forward to. It's same thing. So far, all the big caps have been able to, except Apple, has been able to close green this week, and again, this is the 3rd positive week, which signifies, you know, the trends, you know, continue to go up. So Amazon is starting to build this flat base. You can see right here, really tight base, and same thing, 3 weeks, you know, positive right now, so that's a good sign. If you go to daily chart, this one looks healthy because it's above the 50-day, It's also above the 10 and 21 day. So this is, definitely strong. You can see how many days it just closed above those lines. It just showed there's lots of support for this stock. So I really like this chart. Yeah. Yeah, I did try another position here, so we'll see how that goes. And then another stock, the last one on the Magnificent Seven, is NVIDIA. So this week it gave back some, but it didn't give back everything from previous week, so I guess that's not a bad thing. And let me just check the volume here for this week. It's 175. The previous week was 311, so it's much lower. So that's also a good sign. We can see that probably on the daily chart here, and you can see I draw a trend line right here, and you see the selling right here at the bottom, which is below average volume, and then the 2 weeks before is much higher volume. So this is really good. So it's like, again, when you see a pullback, the first thing you want to look at is the volume. Is there more buying during the when it was going up, and then when it was going down? And that's what we're seeing here. We're seeing much lower volume on the selling side and much higher volume on the buying side before this. So there's a high chance, although it didn't Friday it didn't try to rebound more, but at least it found some support at this level. So we'll see if it can bounce eventually. So that's something to watch out for. But this is definitely probably one of the most watched stock in the marketplace, deemed as a strong growth leader. It's not a small cap now. It's over 1.1 trillion now. But this is a stock that is growing. You see triple digit growth, 420% here, 100% in sales. So this is a very abnormal sector right now because of the AI stuff, and NVIDIA is taking the lead by providing all those AI chips. There was another article on IBD about Oracle just implement their own NVIDIA chips that they're going to be using for their own AI stuff. So the NVIDIA has tons of partnership with so many companies helping them to build their own AI chips, and so that's where their strength comes from. And I think they're definitely the leader in that area, and hence you see that showing up in the numbers. So as long as this continues to do well, there's a chance the market, at least in in the tech sector, could do well, right? And so we'll monitor that. So we jump to SMH right now. We can see the same thing happen here on the chip sector. You can see it also fell this week, right? But overall, this chart looks very healthy. We come very far from the October last year bottom, and it does have lots of pullbacks. 4 or 5 weeks seems to be the average of the pullback, and then it bounced, right? So this is the same thing happening right now. We are in the 4 or 5 weeks pullback zone, and now hopefully it will bounce again and kind of get out of this space, right? So we'll see, if that happens. And so that's but at least so far it seems healthy still, like the chart. And so we'll have to watch for that. So the one area that really stand out for me in the last week, again, one of the things that when market pull back, you want to look for relative strength. Which are the stocks and groups that are not succumbing to the pullback as much? And one area is software stocks. You can see this week it actually was green. So we saw the mega caps, so a lot of them were green this week, which is really good sign. Now we're also seeing this software group also green this week, so that's a really good sign. And this is looks similar to the SMH chart. It come a long way from October low, and right now it's building the second stage base here. So it's looking really good. And we near the highs too. That's another thing, right? We're not even near the 50-day or 10-day. Look at this week, right? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, like those 3 days, they close at the top of the range. That's a strong sign of accumulation. And then on Friday, even though it came down, it really barely came down only, right? So lots of strength in this area. And we'll look at the software stocks in a second, but this area is showing lots of strength. Probably the most significant thing about this one, like I would argue this is probably the best group right now, just based on what I've seen so far. And this group is huge, right? There's lots of stocks in this group, so that's a good sign for the general market, I think. And this is really near new high, like very close to it. Like, I mean, we're talking about like less than 10 points away. So if this thing breaks out, like, in the coming week, we could see huge strength in this group. More money flowing into this group, right? And this is a really nice pattern here. So it's deeper than the previous one. This one was 11%, like, last year, late last year in October. And this one is okay, this is also 11%, but it looks like, I don't know, it looks almost deeper, but I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, maybe it's just a number thing, but yeah, 11% also pullback, and now it's, like I said, it's really close to breaking out, despite a week that we have this week where it's negative. So I really like this group. So one stock that really shows strength this week, it's not on my buy list, but it's good to point this out. Like, there is strength in the chip sector. So one of them is Intel, which is really, really bizarre, because Intel, hasn't been a leader, but somehow it broke out this week. And you can see the RS rating just screaming hot right now, and it's been 3 weeks like that. So there's something happening with Intel. I don't know what the news are. I wasn't paying attention, but I just noticed that it broke out. So that's very interesting. So again, just trying to find the positives in the market to show, because normally if we were to enter a bigger than normal pullback, like I say, turn into correction, we wouldn't see things like that continue to go up. So that's why this gives me confidence to hold what I have right now and just kind of see where this leads, right? So I have reviewed some of the stocks, and these are the ones that are showing more strength than usual, especially considered like from a relative strength point of view. So ANET, so let's jump to it. So I'm looking at weekly charts because generally, when you're in a bull market, you're in an uptrend, you don't want to look too much at the daily level unless there's lots of fluctuation. But in general, you look at it on a weekly chart, and you can see this guy came up from this long base, and then it went up and then built another base, and then it went up very little and built another. So this is like a base on base. So this is base 2 now. And so now it broke out recently, and now it's starting to climb, and you can see the 50-day slope is pretty strong. So that's something I feel like this could be a strong leader. And again, we're looking for stage 2 base, preferably that has broken out, and this could be a strong leader. Next one, Splunk. So this is not a stage 2 base, but it also broke out recently, and it has been really strong. Again, the slope is really high. And this week, again, it didn't pull back at all, despite what the market thinks. So this is obviously not the best chart. It's very volatile, so expect lots of volatility in this stock. But one thing you can see here, the numbers are really strong. Surprisingly, it's been coming back to where its strength is. So that's Splunk. Okay. So this is also another database stock. Looks almost similar to Splunk. Same thing. Really hasn't really have any big run yet, but right now this week it is showing really big movement. So that's that one. A stock that a lot of people were talking about this week was Pure Storage. They're in the data storage space, and it report earnings. And then it kind of very volatile. I think in the morning it dropped significantly, like you can see right here. Or was that? Oh, this was last week. Sorry, this was from last week. But the what happened since is that it actually came back, and then it broke out, and then it found support right here, and then it's starting to bounce now. So I sometimes I don't like when stocks are very volatile around earnings, but this one, I'm going to give it benefit of the doubt that someone sees something stronger about this stock, and then the big shakeout I also like. I didn't own this stock previously, so this is first time I take a position in this stock, and I also, like I said, this stage 1, stage 2 is breaking out, and so I think again this kind of satisfies the criteria of like, possibly a leader. Who knows, right? But this stock is definitely volatile, so just be careful, because it's probably harder to trade this stock. It could easily hit your stop loss. Okay. So Adobe, even though it's not a Magnificent Seven, it is a large cap, and this stock is just really, really strong. I mean, depending where you count the first base, I look at this as the first base. Definitely, it hasn't even formed another base that are more than 5 weeks. It just pulls back 3-4 weeks and then bounce. 3-4 weeks bounce, right? It's really strong. The slope of the 50-day is like more than 45-degree angle. And this week, like, it's a red week, but you have to understand it came from a very strong week last week. So again, this is like showing lots of strength. It went up this much, and it gave back so little. And look at Friday, it almost hit a new high. So it's just lots of strength in the stock. I really, really like this stock. And again, Adobe is doing a lot of good things on the AI side. And so both Adobe reporting this week, and the other one is Oracle. Same thing. Oracle is also showing lots of good signs right now. It's just, look at this volume. Look at this standout. Look at this. It's just significant, and this is before the earnings, right? So this is reporting this coming week. So those two stocks are probably what's going to drive also the market, the tech market this week. I didn't take a position just because it's slightly less than the earnings threshold. Usually I look for at least 15%, but this one's less than that, so that's why I didn't get into it. But the chart looks magnificent. Right? I mean, look at this run. Again, another giant cap stock, Adobe and this guy, they're both big cap. Even though they're not part of the Magnificent Seven, they could have huge impact on the tech stock market. Next one. Now, Duolingo, like, I know a lot of people use it. It's a consumer, app that people use to learn language, and it's very helpful. People are glued to it once they start using it. And it's definitely younger, like 6 billion. It's not a big cap or even medium cap. So it's definitely more volatile. You can see it built this double base bottom. Right now it's trying to come out of this base, and in my opinion it did this week. So that to me is very strong. Volume wasn't all there, which is not the best, but we did see accumulation like previously. So it's starting to make money. So that's also a good sign, and you can see the sales are pretty high, 40 to 50%. So that's really good. So now that they've turned profit, hopefully we'll continue that. Yeah, I think this is a IPO that name that probably could be a huge star, like especially if they know how to capitalize on their trend right now that people want to learn different language. And like I said, just very volatile just because it's a young IPO, and so that's the only problem with this stock. But other than that, it looks good right now. Next stock is Workday. Not like this is definitely large cap area. And again, this stock has gone up like really consistently, right? Like it's at a 45-degree angle on the 50-day line. It goes up really strong, pulls back, goes up really strong, pull back, like and the most recent is this right here, 3 weeks down, and it never built a base here. So again, that shows this relative strength is really, really strong. So Workday, and you can see the numbers here are growing really nicely. So so that's good. Next one, ServiceNow is probably another stock that could do well with AI stuff. You see this base one, this is stage 2 now. So we're in the stage 2. We're looking for this breakout right here. Relative strength, you see the blue dot is showing that it's really hitting new high even before it breakout. So whenever you see the blue dot, usually I would pay like extra attention to those stocks, just because like the reason why like that's significant, especially when it hasn't broke out yet. And usually I think that's, I don't know how they program the blue dot, but it's usually when that happens is when it near the breakout point, it was able to hit new relative strength higher than before it breaks out. Usually that's a good sign, and I usually like to buy it right before it breaks out. Of course it could fail, but it just gives you a higher chance. And right now you can see how many days it's green. Like there's not one down day. That's amazing. So it still have a long time from any sort of earnings report. So I think this is very safe. So, and like I said, this last week's proof that it can be a leader. NTNX. So this one also, I think, report recently has a build. Last week it has a huge gap up. So it broke out from this long base. And you can see these numbers here are triple digit growth now. It's all positive. So it's almost like a newcomer, right? And I would pay attention to this stock just because it has, you see, this stock even ran up before the October bottom last year, and then it has this strength, and then now it's who knows, it could be the same strength here. We'll see. And there's lots of accumulation sticking up here. So that's that one. Into it, like this stock has always been a leader, and this sells software to small business. 154 billion cap, not a small company anymore. Really large cap. Look at the earnings growth, like still growing really consistently. I like this stock a lot, just because it's always under the radar. Not many people talk about it, but you can see on the weekly lots of blue accumulation. And again, the 50-day slope is now at 45-degree angle, so I also like the strength of it. Yeah, so this is something to also watch for. So this week, the security group really strengthened since last week, which is also a good thing, right? Because it followed through from last week's run, and so it hasn't run as strong as people have hoped. But now you can see it's starting. We'll see if this is Okta, right? Okta. So we'll see if this guy can take over, break out here. And then we have CrowdStrike. So again, CrowdStrike broke out this week, really strong. So I heard some analysts on CNBC buying it. So again, they're finally showing, because this is a pretty long consolidation, right? It's many weeks. And then we have, let's see, Palo Alto. So this guy, was kind of a strong leader, and then it formed this base. Now it's starting to climb the right side. So again, all these stocks are, near the high, so that's a really good sign. I think Zscaler was the one who reported this week. Yeah, so that sparked the whole group to move. So here you go, Zscaler. You can see it broke out right here, and go to daily chart. Again, you see lots of on the weekly. We'll go back to the weekly chart in a second. But you can see the volume on the daily as well. So report earnings. It was kind of flaky at first, but then it, on that day. But then the next day it was able to follow through, and then Friday it holds strong right there. Look at the volume. There's no one want to sell. So come back to the weekly chart. Yeah, so you can see the wall blue on this stock. Like there's something happening with this one, and it's just lots of accumulation over this base here. So that's really good sign. So Datadog, it's a pretty strong run earlier, and then it kind of collapsed here, probably on the earnings, and then it's starting to slowly come back, right? It's still under the 50-day, but this week it was able to close at the top range, so that's a good sign. So I think overall it's good. It's again, it's over the 10, 21 day. So right now the big one is the 50-day. If you can overcome the 100 level, that will probably continue its run here. It has this strong, Fresh has this strong uptrend right here, and then it digests right here, and so and then it hit a new high and reverse. So that, sometimes again, I don't know if there's like what the news is, if it's a fundamental or not. But anyhow, let me see this. So I don't know what happened Friday, but without looking at that, like considering what happened, like just looking at the chart, it still looks okay to me, because it's still near 10-day and still at 21-day support. Because last time I found support at 21-day, so we want to see that support at 21-day. So hopefully we'll be able to bounce from that. But this stock is really strong right now. Again, this is a small cap, so it could like be more volatile. So, but the numbers, again, this is recovering and doing really well right now. The numbers. So at Folio, this stock is tremendous. Like this R strength is just crazy. Look at this. And this again, this is another stock that even found the bottom before October low, right? So those are usually have something fundamental. Like anything that found like before the October low, like bottom before that, tells me that there's something fundamental different about this company. That's why investors are jumping in much earlier. And IBA wrote an article about it. I haven't read it yet, but it's related to property management, and So this is stage 2 base. It's breaking out right now. Looking really strong. So this would be one to pay attention. Look at the accumulation right here. Really strong volume. So Salesforce, again, not a small company, just like Adobe, Oracle, and it's trying to climb out of this base right now. They undercut this previous base here, so that's a good sign. So this resets at stage 1, so that will give it more more power, because it's shaking up more investors here that are weak, and you can see the volume is showing up, right? So this is really good. And again, like, that's one thing I think why the software group are showing so much strength right now, is because the numbers are really strong. Like the fundamentals, like all of them are increasing their earnings, right? So you can see that. Okay, IoT is a more newer name, and it's IPO. The chart obviously, like this is kind of mid cap now, and it's depending on how you count it, but it's definitely more volatile. But it's like moving really nicely, right? Like, yes, it's volatile, but if you look at it from a longer term point of view, it's definitely really strong. Like this is stronger than 45-degree angle, and the earnings starting to turn. You see, this is positive now. So this is something to pay attention to, because this is not. It was less than 10 million, like SMCI kind of thing. I'd be not as fond as putting all my eggs in this, but because this is slightly starting to get bigger, I feel like this could be a potential leader, right? I don't know if IBA wrote an article about this, but allow business to harness IoT data. Okay, that's why they call IoT, so Internet of Things. So that's what they specialize in. I don't know if they're using AI or anything, but the chart is like I said, it's volatile, but if you're looking at long term, it looks good. We're done with the tech sector. Let's look at other areas that maybe just a few other stuff. Like I said, this week, really the techs are holding up mostly. Like some of them are coming back down, but most of them are holding in general. JP Morgan financial area is still not the strongest. You can see it's on a strong downtrend. It's been it's top here and it just come back down. Unfortunately, I think this week, most financial stocks are still getting hit and new lows. So so not the best of right now. Like so usually this 140 level, which is the 200-day, probably you know, this is a large cap, right? Like, so you know, if it fell to 50-day, that's fine. But if it does come to 200-day, we should see support there, right? And that's a significant base. This is like, oh, it only, am I counting this right? Why is it showing 10%? Yeah, so this is yeah, it looks like it wants to come down more. That's unfortunate. But you see the volume here? It's a lot lower than the accumulation, right? So I suspect this is just a normal correction, right? So yeah. So I have my trend line drawn, so whenever it goes above this, I would get back in probably. So yeah. Interactive brokers, you know, quietly, right, climbing out of this base. You know, the 50-day is starting to show a trend now. Like, look, this is pretty strong. It's probably like 40 degree angle. It's starting to move. So it's looking good. It hasn't moved as probably as strong as some people want, but it is moving. Like, so yeah. Another one that kind of pop up. There's a few stocks that always pop up. Let's see where they're at. LPLA. Okay, this one's starting to move. Still really slow right now. TBBK. Banks. Okay, so this hasn't moved much. Yeah. The only one that I like, Futu, is a Chinese one. Chinese stocks pull back this week. And so, but you can see, like, it give back not all of it, so that's a good sign, because last week was really strong, right? So we'll see if this uptrend will continue. Like, if I go look at Baba, for example, yeah, Baba, like, gave back a lot of the gains this week, so that's not a good sign. EDU is another, New Oriental Education, also give back quite a bit, so that's also a little bit more volatile. Yeah, so that is some of the, like, you know, but let's jump to quickly to the commodities, because that's another area that's showing strength. The only other stock outside of the groups that are strong, like Miniso, like, I think this week let me see, did it give back some? I think it did. Okay, yeah, it went to a new high, but then it kind of closed near the low, but it's still a new high this week, right? So really strong, like 50 days line right now. Yeah, this could be a strong leader, and we're getting closer and closer to this previous high. So yeah, this is one of the few Chinese stocks that are still humming. I think Li Auto, I was shaken out this week, and you can see it went back to the low, unfortunately. And so we'll see if it can, you know, come back. But right now it's yeah, right now it's kind of like, this level is the level that if it comes back, it'll probably be really good. But so we'll see. And then on the longer trend line down here, this is the slope of the downtrend right now, so we don't know how far it'll go. We'll see. Okay, so that's that. But yeah, Miniso is strong. Surprisingly, Honda, Toyota, they both like kind of moved big this last couple of weeks. I'm not sure why, but look at this. It's making new high. Like, Honda is making, like, I don't know if this is a whole time high, but it's definitely a 52-week high. Toyota, it's not 52-week high, but it's like screaming right now, right? Like, it's like the RS rating is super strong. So again, something, I don't know what's happening with those two stocks. Like, those are Japanese stocks, right? Like Japanese. So I don't know if it has something to do with Japan, something with the dollar and all that stuff. Because yeah, let's look at the dollar quickly. Because the UUP is still screaming. Look at this. Like, US dollar continue to go up, which means the Japan dollar continues to go up, because they're like correlated. So this is like crazy strong. I don't know what's happening, but this is not good for the economy as well, right? Kind of like, you know, this is like kind of, yeah, this is not good. And so again, could be related to the Chinese economy slowing down, And that's another story, right? Like that, probably should get more attention, but not as much. Which is Chinese economy slow down. Is that going to impact the war as much? How much is it going to impact? So that could be a significant, like, this is scary, because this is like, look at this run right here, right? And then now it's starting to look like it wanted to do a big run. So, yeah. So, this could create a bear market, right? So that's what happened during the bear market. So now it's starting this. That's why people are worried now. This weight loss thing is real. You can see these are giant cap stocks, and look at how they're moving, right? They're like 6 weeks up, 5 weeks up, and then this week it just went even higher. Like, this is like crazy. Another one, Novartis. Both of these are, really focusing on the weight loss drug. Of course, they have other stuff, but this is showing tremendous movement right here. So it broke out from this base, it's moving up. Like this is, again, another 400 billion market cap. So these two stocks are just going nuts right now. Like, Penn is another smaller one. I don't know if Penn does weight loss, but they do other stuff. Okay, so this is smaller cap. This has a strong run previously. That's why I like this one. It follows. It has a strong uptrend. So now it formed this base. So it's not as strong as Lilly and all of this, but look at these numbers here, right? It's really growing in earnings. Look at that, right? And so we'll see how that goes. So that's health. And then we come back to energy, the last one we want to talk about. XLE, really strong. Like, this is what people are talking about right now. Is this gonna break out this time? I personally, I don't. But oil is already, like, I think went as high as 88 this week, right? Or even near 90, I can't remember. But yeah, like, it's getting closer and closer. If it breaks out, it's gonna be a big problem for the Fed, like, in terms of inflation. So, like, I hope it doesn't. But energy stocks are acting well. So this is XLE, like, the big guy, the ones that people most follow is Tidewater, still really small. Can see how much support is. It's like, 50-day line is pretty strong. OII, Oceaneering, also doing really well. So see, it broke out, and now it's aiming for that 20% gain. Let's see what else. Okay, yeah, we have more. HLX. See, all these stocks are broken out, and they're now, like, near the 20% gain. So SLB. And yeah, and this is, they move pretty fast. This one moves slightly slower. So SLB. So last one, Halliburton. Okay, so these two are bigger. They're bigger, right? 37. So they move a little bit slower, but the trend is still very nice. Okay, so on the machinery side, Weatherford. So that's my top number one stock in my portfolio right now. So I was down here where I bought it, and it just continued to climb. Like, this is a very strong slope. Look at this volume. Like,
Yeah.
now I'm a little bit worried about this one, because, like, sometimes when you see the largest volume after a run, usually that's the top. So I'm going to be paying attention more whether I should take profit. But look at these numbers. It's crazy. Look at this, right? It's just growing like so fast. 6 billion cap, still pretty small. FTI is another one, similar group. Look at this, right? It's just now 31% from this buy point. So this is, I also bought here really low, so pretty good gain right now. Look at these numbers. It just turn around and, like, grow pretty fast now. Baker Hughes is the bigger one, 37 billion in this group. And again, even this guy is turning like record profit right now. Like, this is amazing. So this one just formed a tight 3 weeks area, and then now it's taking off. So yeah, very strong group. This is probably, this one and oilfield services are the two strongest groups in that area. So not everything is going up in the energy. Like, if we look at traditional, like, oil, like BP, it's moving up, but they're still within a deep base, right? See, if you look at Shell, remember what the Shell symbol. That's Shell. Yeah, so it's trying to come out. You see, trying to come up. So those are the bigger cap guys. Yeah. So, but like I say, a lot of them have don't have the best earnings in the oil and gas group. That's why it's not on my radar. But yeah, so